going on, world? DS1 Ross. We back. Sheep Stay Sleep TV. Sleep Live. Shout out to everybody who's been supporting. Tonight, we got another great interview I think is going to come to fruition here. I got my good brother, DerrickPrints, photography and video. DerrickPrints, photography and video, y'all. I'm going to interview the brother. Y'all going to get to know him tonight. I definitely got some good questions for him. And y'all sit back and hopefully y'all enjoy this interview. Like I said, shout out to everybody who's tuning in. Shout out to everybody who will tune in. Make sure y'all come through and hit the like button. Show the brothers some love. So what's up, D Prince? How you, bro?
So what's up, DS1? What's up, chat? Peace, everybody. Yeah, if I'm talking, I'm from the South, so I might be mumbling my words sometimes. So I'm a mama talker. I try to articulate it the best as I can. And I guess a little bit about me. 33 years old, born in Mississippi. And that's pretty much where I was raised. And I was raised on a farm, with chickens and pigs and hogs, horses, whatever you can name. And I ended up, when I was about 22, 21, 22, I moved to the coast of Mississippi. And from there, I ended up joining the military. And I was in the Marine Corps for about 5 years. And then and that's how I got in Norfolk, Virginia. And that's where I'm at now. As a little brief background. But yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's interesting, bro. You know, that's real interesting. So how much, like, so you saying you pretty much grew up like a farm kid, like you grew up around a lot of animals and nature.
Yep. The barefoot kid running barefoot outside, working in gardens, maintaining the garden, whatever we grew. And yeah, that was my life for the most part till I got in my teens. And
That's it. That's interesting, man, because you don't look like the average, you don't look like you got some style to you, just based on your profile pic or whatever. I wouldn't think you would do that. So that's good to know, man. So being
and
that you
let me show my face for a minute so y'all know I'm a real person. Hold on.
This is epic right here, y'all. He's showing y'all he a real person. He not a troll. That's what's up. I respect that.
Y'all see me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt. No
So
doubt.
yep, I'm a real person. I don't like being on camera, but at least y'all can get to see my face for a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Salute. So being that you said that, man, you just made me add another question. So
For sure.
do you believe in us growing our own food, not depending on supermarkets and stuff like that? Are you into the off-grid living?
I would say yeah, it's always beneficial to grow your own food because it saves you a lot of money. And another thing is, you know exactly what you put in your mouth. You know, I know a lot of these places when you getting them, you getting this stuff from the farms, but a lot of these places don't really, like for me, we had to go out in the garden and pick the vegetables and tomatoes or whatever we was growing. So if there's bugs and stuff eating it, we just, we go out there and pretty much scrape them out. We didn't spray chemicals and none of that stuff on our vegetables. We actually went out there and did it. So, I mean, as far as growing your own food, I would definitely encourage people to do that just to save money. Plus, you know for sure what you put in your, and as far as you know, knowing how to do stuff on your own is good because you never know what happened. And most of the kids these days do not know anything about surviving on your own like that. As far as living off the grid, um, I don't know about that. I would definitely want to be somewhere with my own land where people can just leave me the fuck alone. But at the same time, when something serious happens, you have to be connected somewhere. Unless you making your own medicine or something like that. But I mean, living off the grid could be a good thing. I just haven't actually lived off the grid to experience that to say, if it's a good thing or not. But and I don't really see that wrong with it if that's what somebody want to do. I like staying in these rural areas and country places. That just it's just quiet and peace. It's very peaceful. My family, we got 10 acres of land down in Louisville, Mississippi, and we most of my family live out there on the land, and either mobile homes uh, or actually we got one regular house out there, but the rest of them like mobile homes. But for the most part, we do what we want on the land. We don't have the garden anymore because once my grandma died, nobody wanted to keep it up. She was the one that had us working it. So and then when she died, nobody kept it up. Right now, we have like we got horses and stuff like that. They would ride a horse right into the middle of town. But it's not a bad growing up on the farm. You definitely learn to be able to you definitely learn the hunter gatherer role.
Right. That's interesting, man. Cause my dad he pretty much grew up a Southern boy too. He grew up in like the rural parts of Georgia, and
Mm-hmm.
half of my family is my mom's side of the family. A lot of them are Muslim, so we were taught not to eat swine and stuff like that. And my dad, he used to always say, you know, a lot of my people on his side of the family, they grew up eating swine for years, and they lived to 80, 90 years old because they were actually raising those hogs. You know,
Yeah,
they were raising those chickens. They was raising the cows and stuff like that. So they didn't have to worry about you know, these hormones in the meat and the hormones in the milk and all of this stuff. So it's interesting that you touching on some of the same stuff I heard from when I was young. You know.
definitely. Like we didn't have to pump our pigs or anything like that with anything. We just fed them our scraps pretty much, and they were some nice sized pigs. We wasn't like Um, I guess I guess it's different for when you mass producing shit for the world, but at the same time, they try to do things to make it cheaper. So if they can get more meat off this one pig, they gonna pump it with steroids or whatever they putting in it. But yeah, we didn't do that. And my grandma, when she died, she was 90 something years old. I had a great granddaddy that lived till he was 116 years old. So you know, a few of my you know just a few years ago, they caught strokes and stuff like that. But that's because we don't eat foreign food no more. So I definitely think it's some correlation with that for sure.
Wow, that's interesting, man. So, what part of Mississippi, you know, did you grow up in, and how was it? Cause isn't David Banner from Mississippi, and he talk about all the swamps and stuff like that. So, did you grow up around that stuff too?
Yeah, it's a swampy area. For the most part, it's a swampy area. I mean, I would say it ain't really that much of a difference from any of those southern states from Georgia, because I've been all through Georgia. I stayed in Georgia, Douglasville, Georgia, for like a couple of years. But Mississippi, Alabama, all those are like swampland areas. The trees get taller when you get down there. Um, but yeah, David Banner, he probably stayed like 2 hours away from me. I was in Louisville, Mississippi. I know you don't know what that is, but the college, Mississippi State University, that's in Starkville, Mississippi, where I was born at, minutes away from where I was. So I mean, yeah, it's a real swampy area, red dirt, a lot of red dirt.
Okay, okay. What made you want to join the service?
Well, honestly, uh, for me, it was I was looking for a job, and growing up in Mississippi, if you ask anybody from Mississippi, most of them are trying to get away from it because it's really literally nothing to do for a young person. To me, Mississippi is a place where you go when you retire because you want to be away from everybody. You want to get your own land and retire somewhere and be in peace. That's pretty much for Mississippi, and everything is now. You really you really ain't gonna get what you need growing up there. The school systems are really not that great. And then it's country everywhere. If you want to go somewhere and really have a good time and see something, you have to go to Georgia or somewhere. They got good sites down there in Mississippi, but nothing that you really want to gravitate to. Basically, I guess as a teenage kid, when you want to party and do all that, there's really no place for you to do that. They got a bunch of hole in the wall places though down there, and it's I'm not gonna downplay it like it's all bad, but for me growing up, it wasn't nothing to do down there but get in trouble and drink and just pretty much roam, pretty much just roam around the land. There's nothing for you to do if you're not in school. And for me growing up, that's why I ended up moving to the coast of Mississippi, because it was a little bit more industrial down there. Where I grew up in the area I was, it's mostly agricultural. Um, where I stayed, the next house is going to be probably a half a mile to a mile down the road, and most of that is owned by one white guy. And he run a chicken business. If you ever heard of Tyson's, there's a guy that I live down the street where they get their chickens from. For all the chicken that you eat in the stores, I stay down the street that they actually get their chickens from. So it's that type of environment, cows and everything. Like as a kid, we go, 10, 11 years old, we off in the woods fishing somewhere and, trying to ride cows and somebody on somebody's land, trying to ride their cows and stuff like that. So that was my like in the streets when I was a teenager. So it was very, very country.
That's interesting because they definitely have a lot of chicken factories, and it's a lot of factories down here in North Carolina. You could work for Tyson's, you could work for Purdue. So it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting that they got all their chickens from where you was from. That's I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, yeah, and North Carolina too. I'm actually getting ready to move there. Hopefully at the beginning of the year, between January and February. It's a little job I'm trying to get down there, and that North Carolina still got cotton fields down there, a whole bunch of them. That's where you get most of your cotton materials from in North Carolina. Call them plantations down from. I'm sure they call them plantations somewhere down there, but yeah, they got a lot of you know chicken plantation, cow plantations, or cotton plantations. You see them everywhere. Like you can be like the other day we was coming from uh Kenansville, North Carolina, if you know where that at. And we just, stopped on the side of the road and grabbed us some cotton and picked it up because I never even touched it like that. So it's cotton everywhere, just on the roads and stuff as we traveling. So we just stopped by and, pick some up, touch it. That was pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. A lot of people don't understand too that North Carolina is also the home of the NASCAR. That's where NASCAR started at in North Carolina. And
Mm-hmm.
Pepsi, the Pepsi the whole thing with Pepsi was created here in North Carolina. And I did a construction job on one of the old Fruit of the Loom factories.
Yeah.
You had to go
Wow.
in there and pretty much um abate it because it's pretty much so old, has a whole bunch of asbestos and mold and all that type of stuff. And I used to do environmental remediation. So I worked there for like a week or two just doing that, and I learned a lot there too. A lot of the Haynes factories and stuff like that. Like you said,
Uh-huh.
this is where they get their cotton from. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
the town that I used to live in before I moved to where I'm at now in North Carolina, um, you can drive maybe 15 minutes away from my house, and there's cotton fields just on the side of the road,
Yep.
and it's all owned by specific families and stuff like that. So definitely. So my next question for you, bro, is what did you what did you study when you was in the service? Because one of my best friends, he went to the service when we graduated high school, and I'm guessing he went for the same reason you went. And now he came out, and now he worked for Philly PD, but he went to school for like engineering and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So like what did you major in far as like education and stuff like that?
I was on the electronic side, the aviation electronic side. So I pretty much went to school and learned calibrations. And that the actual school is in Mississippi on the Air Force base. So I learned calibrations, and basically what I did was um, calibrated and repaired all kinds of electronics for uh, the CH-46s. Those are the helicopters with the two propellers, and they actually getting rid of those, but they was like rescue helicopters pretty much. And like if something happens in with, I guess to make it where you can understand it, say if you're driving a car and something in your car that's electronic, messes up, you would take like the radio broken, you would take the radio out and you would send it to me and I'd fix it. So like with their navigational systems, the missile systems, any automated system, they'll send to me and I pretty much calibrated it and kept it maintained. For ships too. I had a lot of ship equipment that I worked on. So yeah, that's what I did. It's pretty much electronic, and that's what I do now too. And I'm actually in school now, and ironically getting a psychology degree. And I actually have associate of science degree, and I can show you that degree. You know, like I wouldn't say I got anything that I couldn't show nobody. So you know, I know it's a lot going on right now. So if anybody ever wants to see that, and I don't even praise that because it's an associate's degree. So you know, but yeah, I worked on a lot of different equipment. If I get the naming all of them, nobody would know what I'm talking about. But you know, a lot of different test equipment, automated equipment, missile test systems, and stuff like that. A lot of submarine equipment. I mean, it definitely opened some doors for me, educational wise. You know, none of that stuff I knew about. You know, electronics and stuff like that. I knew shit. I ain't know nothing about that until I got in there, and I didn't deploy or anything like that. That's, you know, that's really surprising coming from a Marine. You know, when you the tip of the spear when it comes to war. You know, you the first people to go over there. But nope, I didn't go anywhere. I was here in Norfolk my whole time, like it was a 9 to 5, and that's what really I was hoping for. And I don't even know how it happened, but it happened that way. So, and I did one contract and got out because I got a kid and I didn't want to deploy because they was going to deploy me.
Wow, man,
Um,
that's dope, man.
and when I got out, I actually that's when I got my social science degree in sociology, and then I signed up to get my bachelor's in psychology. But I put that on hold for a while when I started it and started working at a company called GSK. They make like medicine and flu shots and stuff like that. Research and development on all kinds of new products, like, and I mean, working for places like that, man, you it kind of tests your morality too because you know they test this stuff on animals, you know, before it even get to you. You know, these are 10-year processes before it even get to you. So it's definitely that kind of the biopharmaceutical world is really it's interesting, you know, to know some of the things that they trying to come up with, some of the things that they studying. It's like you couldn't even fathom what goes on in these science labs. You know, they mixing all kinds of shit. Like they coming out, they had like when I was there, they was working on something that probably ain't gonna come out to about 10 to 20 years or so from now. But you know, it's supposed to be like this little nano robot pill, and it's for cancer patients. You know, right now they do chemo, and what chemo does is just attack random cells, hoping that it attacks, you know, the cancer cell. Why you see people hair fall out, and because it attacking their hair cell, or attacking it make people throw up because it mess with their stomach. Well, this pill right here, when you take it, it goes in and target that exact cancer cell. So they're like testing that now on like animals and shit. So when you hear about that, you'll know when it started to come out, you'll be like, oh, you know, I heard that before. But yeah, that's something that you know people are gonna see in the next 15 and 20 years or so.
Wow. So basically a lot of the pharmaceutical world is basically controlled by the military.
I wouldn't say it's controlled by the military. At least GSK for who I was working wasn't, but they do work hand in hand. They do. The government, of course, watches it. The with the EHS and the FCCs and all that stuff. They come in and monitor and make sure and do audits to make sure that everything is running. And we're practicing like safe doing work pretty much. So like OSHA too. And the job that I'm going to in North Carolina is the same thing. It's a biopharmacy. You probably heard of them, Patheon, medicine and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah, I've
Is
saw the building.
down there in Greenville, North Carolina.
Hmm.
But yeah, all the medicine and stuff that you go into the store, though, over the counter pills and stuff like that. Yeah, it's coming out of those companies. And when I'm working there, I'm watching everybody because I actually be taking some of this medicine sometimes. So when I'm in there, I'm kind of like spying and trying to see what's going on because I want to know. That's the type of stuff I want to know. And some stuff you can't know because you need a certain clearance. In the military, I only had a secret clearance, so I only knew certain stuff. But for certain information, you can only know you got to have a top secret clearance or a need to know basis type thing. So you can't really information out of them. But I like working for them because it keep me game on this type of stuff. And honestly, after working for GSK, I don't even take flu shots no more. I don't even take it, and I haven't been. And I haven't been sick in years. I don't even know how many years. I haven't had no flu, anything. The most that happened to me is like allergies. So, am I saying that the medicine is killing people or something like that? Nah, I don't know. But I just don't take it personally because from my experience working in those places, people that I don't know is working on this stuff. You know, and I tell people all the time, you don't need flu medicine. You don't really need that. But they kind of just make you take it just to. It's like we want you to take this medicine, so you know what I mean? Because
Right. Well, it's interesting and it makes sense. You know why you really not into the meds and stuff like that because you pretty much came from a a natural background where you know whatever y'all put in the land is what y'all ate. So I know you really wasn't that. You didn't get that really sick when you was young either.
no,
So it makes sense why you're not into the whole traditional pharmaceutical stuff. It makes sense.
yeah, and my advice to people is don't take anything unless you really think you have to. Like you got a headache or something, man, let that thing play out for a couple of days. Don't go just taking stuff. You gotta really be careful. And something interesting I seen the other day. I was watching this show. I don't know if anybody ever heard of it, but it's called Vsauce, and they was doing studies on kids and adults with taking medicine. And as you know, I'm sure people know that sometimes they give you placebos, and for people who don't know what a placebo is, it's just a fake pill. So they give you this pill because they saying that your mind, your brain can heal you just by you thinking that it releases chemicals when when you're a baby and your mama like you fall and hurt yourself and your mama just pick you up and just show you some love and rub you. That's what he was kind of getting at, that medicine really don't really cure you. It's your own brain that's curing you, from when I watched this show. And they really be fake MRIs and stuff. They got placebo MRIs. That was interesting to me. And it kind of made me think, Is they even giving people real medicine at all? And I'm just conspiring when I say this, you know what I mean? Because just by watching the show, they was actually doing experiments on this show. There was this one kid that had mass headaches, migraines, and stuff. So they put him through this fake MRI, set it up just like he was going to a real doctor. And after he left out, they interviewed him, and a month later they come back and contact him, and he said that he was fine. He said he feeling better and everything, and of course they writing all this stuff down, and I think what they're trying to do is, if this actually works for, if they do this study for so many years and it actually works, they're gonna start giving people placebos instead of actual, diagnostics. And they had a few people, even adults, going through this. And it's crazy because some people would be in this fake, they set it up. They'll put you inside the thing, make all kinds of sounds you think is actually going on, and they're not doing any test on you at all. They just setting it up, and they psychological, they do evaluations on you and see how you feel. And some people in there say, "Oh yeah, I felt, you know, I felt like this pressure on my head." And of course, they looking at them like, "No, you really didn't." People was saying that they actually felt like something was going on and they was healing. And they trying to take that study and say that your brain is actually healing you. Your brain can actually heal you when you think that you're actually being helped. And I just thought that was pretty interesting to look at, and it just made me question a lot of shit. Are they really giving people medicine anyway? You know, you never know when they're giving you these placebos.
Wow, man, that's interesting. That's interesting, and it makes sense too. Because when I was like a teenager, and like my grandmom's, she would watch like all my other younger cousins when they were babies. And one thing she used to tell me and my older cousins was like, if one of them was to fall and start crying, don't you know how sometimes when a child fall or hit something, you go, oh, and she used to be like, don't
Yeah.
do that because that will make them cry. If you just
Yep.
don't say nothing, they'll get up and keep moving. And that used to work
Yeah.
a lot. That would work a
Mm-hmm.
whole lot.
Yeah, because a lot of kids, they'll fall and they'll pause for a second and they'll probably
Mm-hmm.
look at you, and when you react like, oh, then they'll start reacting and crying.
Right,
But
right.
yeah, when they fall, unless you see them like crack their head or something like that, let them fall. You know what I'm saying? Let them fall and see how they react. Because sometimes they won't even react. Yeah,
Now,
that's true, man. Yeah.
now it's interesting that you've been around all of these things, and what made you want to go back to school for psychology? Was it to study to know how you think, or how the people in the world who run the world, how they think? What made you want to study psychology?
Well, it always sparked the interest in me. I actually took a philosophy class one time, and after taking that class, it kind of left me with an open mind about anything and everything. And I'm like, dang, the mind is so delicate. And I wanted to actually learn about the mind. And I wanted to learn about why I think the way I think and why people think the way they think. So yeah, basically I was kind of interested in that. And just by, when I discovered this whole conscious community thing, I can actually see, how easy the mind is and how delicate it is. It's no different from a baby, an adult mind. You can be easily tricked, easily. Your mind can be manipulated so easy, and we don't know it. So, and that sparked my interest because when you start taking psychology, they're gonna tell you off top. We use psychology to study psychology, which kind of don't even make sense, but that's what they're doing. They tell you all these interesting things, and they tell you why you think the way you think. Especially because the last class I took was a African American psychology, And the way we think now, basically, and overall, what they saying is our psychology here in America is different from actual African psychology. Of course, since they say we are Africans, we kind of gotta study it from an Afrocentric point of view. But our actually American psychology is birthed from African American psychology is birthed from Western psychology. So and the way some African would look at us is like we're just Black Europeans because we think, talk, act like them, and that was pretty interesting to me. I mean, they break it down to from religion to whatever, and it's, I think that's something that all Black people should look into. Know why you do the things you do. Know why you practice these certain traditions that you practice, and where they stem from, and that's pretty much what the class teaches you. But that's basically why I got into it, because I think it's real interesting, Interesting.
Yeah, so yeah, I see it's a little bit of both. You did it for both reasons, and I can understand that, So based on, what you learned from psychology, how would you diagnose the conscious community?
Um, Basically, the way I look at it, I don't look at the conscious community no different from any community. You're just interpreting what you interpreting things in a different way based upon your experience, where you've been, or where you at. So when I look at the conscious community, it's really no different. You're scrambling for, we basically trying to. It's like you're trying to find yourself. It goes back to when you get into stuff like this. You're just going. You're gonna talk and talk until you get back to the question. Who am I? Why am I here? Those philosophy questions like that. So when I look at, when they say, oh, the Black conscious community, we this and we that, it's just people that they're trying to figure themselves out. That's how I feel the conscious community is. We just trying to figure ourselves out. That's why you got, a group over here to say, no, we this. You got a group over there to say, no, we this. And I just look at everything like, we don't know who the fuck we are. and I'm okay with that. I'm really not even trying to figure out who I was or who my ancestors are. I think all that is really a distraction from real time, from real time situations. Is the way I look at it. None of we can study, we can go back and look at all the history we want, but it's really not going to mean anything when it comes to real time today. What's going on today? I mean, and it's good to look back and try to figure those things out. I'm not saying we shouldn't, I'm not saying let go of history or anything like that. I mean, that's all fun, but at the same time, we shouldn't let stuff like that. The conscious community get distracted by stuff like that. Yeah. We get so distracted with history that we forget about reality almost, and that's why we always say you get to saying that, oh, we're divided or we're this or we're that, and it's just people trying to figure themselves out, and it's so much information out there that it's going to be confusing. So the way I look at it, I mean, it's good to go but I remember like what you said, if it ain't practical, it really don't even mean nothing if it ain't practical. So it's
Makes
just all
sense.
talk.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So I'm gonna ask you, how do you feel about this whole Umar thing that just surfaced? How do you feel about it? Do you feel like he, his intentions from the beginning was to lie to the people, or do you feel like he just got in too deep? How do you feel?
Um, I if I'm being honest, I feel like the man had good intentions. Same time, he's dealing with reality. So he's trying to use these good intentions. If he can raise a lot of money, of course he's going to use some of that money to help take care of himself. And I think he's trying to hide that fact behind that, that he's really, really trying to do this just for the kids or whatever his agenda is. And he didn't have to do all that. And so I'm on the skeptical side of that, you know, because I feel like whatever you're going through, you should be open and upfront in the beginning. And maybe people will look at you, in a different light. If you having a hard time dealing with life and you at the same time want to help people deal with life, you can't sweep that. You need to be open about that up front. Like if I start a campaign, staying in a little apartment and I'm living check to check, I'm gonna let that be known. I'm gonna use some of this money, but at the same time, I want to help people at the same time. So I think he got caught up in that. Like you say, he in too deep with it. You know, because there's no way you've been doing this for 12 years and you ain't got the money yet. And what made me really skeptical is how mad and emotional he get when he can't get what he wants. He looking at white people like, oh, when they have a problem, they help and blah 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 and get them the money right away. With you Negroes, it take me forever to get $1. You can't do that. You cannot do that. Raise people eyebrows. You know. So I think he started out with good intentions and then he got caught up and now he's scrambling. In my opinion, he's just in too deep. And I think he was if you just be honest with people, you won't have nothing to worry about, nothing at all. I mean, how hard it is it? Let me find my if I say here go right here. Let me show you how hard is it to do this right here. Show your degree. Yeah, I got a degree. Here it is right here. How hard is that? Take like a couple of seconds. So I don't know what the deal is with him when it comes to stuff like that. And that's all people want to see. You mention something and they want to confirm it. They like I was listening to Conscious Community TV and they were saying in there like people are trusting their children lives with you, man. They got a motherfucking right to know what the hell your plan is and your credentials because you putting it out there. So you can't get mad when somebody question you when they finna send your kid to, when they finna send their kids to you, you know. And then when you going around saying that you may not even want your kid to come back to them because you think that people are full of with the Willie Lynch syndrome or whatever. No, that's a flag, man. That's a flag. That's a flag.
Yeah, yeah. Now I see why they always say a psychologist needs a psychologist.
Man, I'm telling you, man. Everybody, I feel like everybody needs a psychologist, and pretty much everybody are psychologists. You know, You just go to school to learn exactly what you're doing. But everybody are psychologists. If you have a problem and you go vent to somebody, the person you vent to is your psychologist at that point. Pretty much. You don't have to go to no, if you, unless you're trying to get, medicated with some shit, you don't really need, you just call your parents up, man. And they'll listen to you, and you can vent to them, and that's psychology right there. So these people like Umar, these psychologists like that, man, I think they really need some kind of evaluation, examination, because it's crazy for him to even to be a psychologist and to act the way you act. That's crazy. You a grown ass man, man. Why are you even acting like this as a doctor? You shouldn't even be losing your cool about some stuff. You should not be losing your cool like that. So I think he actually lost a lot of potential people, because see, when I first found out about him, I was listening to him. I'm like, okay, he talking some good information. You know what I mean? And now some good information that I wasn't aware of. But as time go by, you start seeing the real him. So and when you let a person talk, like especially a person like him, when you let them talk, they just reveal their true selves to you. You just got to listen for it. And I think a lot of people, see, he underestimated a lot of black people. He thought we was gonna be some sheeps and just jump on the bandwagon because he black or something. And that wasn't the case. And then you calling all the people that you want support from stupid. Come on, man. I don't care what somebody did to make you angry, or what you're tired of, or anything. If you're tired of people questioning you about something, stop doing interviews then. That's what I say. Because if you do an interview with somebody, you had to all questions. It shouldn't be no exceptions about any questions, and you should just answer them straight up. And I never get that when I watch people or see people. You ask a simple question, and they give you a whole spiel before they get to the answer, and that kind of aggravates me. Any question should be answerable in one sentence, in my opinion. Maybe you do need to add like some long backstory details, but you if somebody asks you what's the plan, can we see your plan? You should have that blueprint ready to go everywhere you're going. You going somewhere to get interviewed, you should have everything with you. You should have a briefcase with everything with you. At least a rough draft of everything. Even if you ain't got the plan all the way thought out through, you should have something on the table. You can't just say, uh, you know, um, don't worry about it, I got a plan. Or, if somebody asks you, how do we know how much money you raise, is because you tell people that nobody want to hear that. You can't just say that. You can't say, I just tell people. No, people want to see. People are visual, especially educated people. They want to know. So him, the way he going about all this is all wrong. I feel like he know he's on a hot seat now, and he pretty much his little plan or whatever he got going, even if he was doing it for a good intention, it's going to be tainted now. Even if the whole time he was doing it for a good cause, it's tainted now over simple credentials. So, and for it ain't got nothing to do with what he telling us. I don't think so. Nobody gonna call you into court to verify something that you have. If the state of Pennsylvania know you got a psychology degree, they're gonna look at the situation like, oh, these people are crazy. I'm not gonna waste my time. They'll figure it out. They're not gonna even bother with that. I think they are calling to verify things themselves. And when he go up, and the reason they doing it in court because you can't lie in the court. He gonna be on the oath. So whatever happened on that day, it'll come out. The truth will come out on that day. So we'll just have to wait and see what happened. And if he do got the credentials, why did it take all that? Why did it take all that?
Right.
And it just make me sad that how he dissing his own people like that. I mean, the man said that he should have had that money 30 days after he mentioned the plan. I'm like, are you crazy? You get mad at people because they didn't give you the money, $2 million in 30 days? You trying to say, you spend trillions of dollars on something else? Come on, man. You can't do that.
Right.
You should just take whatever you can
I
get
agree.
and be humble. Because now it seems like you just want the money for yourself. It seems that way. And whenever you're doing something and you got people skeptical like that, man, you should be doing everything you can to make those skeptical people become a believer or whatever, to trust you. If people, hunt me down, talking, pressing me about something, I'm gonna do whatever I can. Oh, you want to see these degrees? Oh, I'm gonna show you these degrees. Here, this is for everybody in real time. I'm not gonna show you no picture. I'm gonna show you in real time. I would come out on national TV. He could have did that on the Breakfast Club, man. He could have just brought his, credentials or whatever. Because you ain't finna walk in those psychology clinic and not see somebody's degrees. You can walk in the hospital right now. You go into that doctor's office, their degrees are on the wall. Wherever you go, dentist office, anywhere that it's a professional place, you can even go in a restaurant. Everything you need to know would be hanging up on the wall where you can see it. So for him to make a big fuss about all this is just suspect, man.
No doubt, no doubt. So let's fast forward a little bit now. Now, from what I got from you earlier, you said you pretty much, you joined the service because you pretty much needed something to do. You wanted to be proactive and things like that. And I see with your name, it's photography and video. Was that your first love as a child? Like, what is it? Like, what was your first love, and like, what is it that you really wanted to do, like as a child?
I mean, I think I started out like everybody else. People gave me ideas. I never ever, I guess, initially wanted to do anything. I didn't have an idea of anything. Um, people will say, "Oh, you want to be a fireman or a policeman to grow up?" That was like my idea because that's what they was. I was in public school, so I learned to answer questions like that. When somebody say, "Oh, what do you want to be when you grow up?" Policeman, fireman. So, as far as something that I wanted to do was like some stuff like that. But once I got older, I didn't have a clue on what I could do. I was in football in like high school, and I thought about being in the NFL and stuff like that, but that didn't work out. So um, after high school, I just started working. I actually, I mentioned Tyson earlier. I actually worked at Tyson's. I worked at Tyson in Mississippi when it was $7 an hour on the assembly line at a plantation. So, and as I got older and older in my mid-20s and I was in the military, that actually sparked the photography idea because it was a guy that I know. He's a photographer and he used to have his camera and showing me all these pictures and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, man, and everything he was doing. And that kind of gave me an idea like, dang, I want to do that. You know, he would tell me he just did a wedding for like $3,500 at a Catholic wedding, and I was like, damn, well, you could, I mean, I was like, well, he can make some money in it, you know, and it looked like it's an easy job, so you know, I just bought me a camera and started shooting, and I liked it, so and I actually started this year. It was a couple of years ago when I said that that's what I want to do, but I didn't have the money at that time to get a camera, and I wanted to get a good camera, and I ended up waiting, and I just got my camera this year at the beginning of the year, and I've shot. If you go on my Instagram, DerrickPrints 2017, you'll see all my work because I don't have a website or anything like that. I'm still an amateur. I still do some jobs for free. You know, I'm freelancing right now, and I get paid with. I've actually made all my money back from my camera and what I paid for. So it doesn't, you know, it pays itself. But you know, eventually, I want this to be my business. You know, I don't want to. I don't want to have to work. I don't have to work for nobody, and that's the avenue I want to go with as a business for myself. So you know, and I'm basically just working until I can get that. I can get me a studio and actually have enough clients to have a to make it a business. So that's pretty much my plan with that and how I got into that. And I'm still learning it. So you know, I've done weddings, I've done family photos, individual photos. I got the only video I got on there on my YouTube. I actually had two videos. I had a video of me filming my nephew and my son and my niece playing around, and I took that down though. But I got another video that I shot for a DJ in the club. He wanted me to shoot a video and take pictures, and that video is still up. Um, but as far as pictures, yeah, I've done some work with it, and I'm still learning it. So that's pretty much how I got into that little gig.
Well, that's a good thing, man, because you know, and being that you coming up this way to North Carolina, you know, um, you could reach out to a lot of independent and underground artists who need videographers. You know, it's a lot of entertainers on the come up out here. It's a lot of showcases. You know, I'm not sure of the the rap scene and stuff like that in Greenville, but I know out here in Charlotte and other places like Greensboro, Salisbury, like more of the bigger cities, you know, there's a lot of independent artists that need work, you know. It's a lot of girls, you know, that do photo shoots and all that type of stuff. So I'm pretty sure through Instagram and the hashtagging and all that type of stuff, you'll be able to get some more clients, bro. Especially coming out here.
Yeah, and that's another thing. When I started doing it, I started seeing that a lot of people actually like taking photos. And it's kind of getting watered down because you got all the camera phones and stuff. But it's a whole different ball game when you actually doing professional. These pictures, like it takes time. When I do a shoot, I try to get at least 500 pictures. And then I had to go through all these pictures and pick out the ones that are actually worth having, and a lot of editing, and it takes a lot of time. But it's fun to me. So it's really not taking time for me. It's just me doing something I like to do, really. Gravitated to it, and that's what I tell everybody, man. If you got something that you really like to do, make it a job for yourself. Make a business for yourself. If you like to, whatever it is, that way you don't work a day in your life.
Yeah, man. It's definitely you definitely could get some work out here for sure. You know, especially like the club pictures. Cause I remember when I was younger, when I was back up in New York, we had like a camera guy. He would come to like all of the teen parties and stuff like that, and the young adult parties. The name of his company was called 7 Days, 7 Nights, where he will pretty much
Mm-hmm.
be out for 7 days and 7 nights just taking pictures in different clubs of people. And then
Sweet.
he had like a little page where he would just post the pictures that he thought was the best, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
I definitely feel like, that'll definitely help your business, man, especially coming out here.
For sure. For sure.
So
Yeah.
what is it something that you would want the people to know about you um that a lot of people don't know about you? Like what are some of your other hobbies and stuff like that?
Uh, man, I'm a boring guy, man. All I do is do like research on stuff and much. um, I go hang out with my son, stuff like that. I'm a family guy, so and I'm more of a recluse. I don't really go out too much, and I know I'm gonna definitely have to get into that club scene. Like I say that for that DJ, that was the only club thing I do because I don't really club like that. Um, but as far as like going out and stuff like that, nah, I don't mess around. I like to go out and eat different things, try different things. I mean, I'm not a big health guy. I get. I mean, when you look at me, and then I'm a skinny guy, and then you look at the way I eat, you assume that I'll be like a fat person. But I don't know. That I guess I'm my metabolism is high or something. But um, yeah, I like to eat, go try different places to eat, um, stuff like that. And as I like talking philosophy. That's another thing. I just like seeing. I just like picking people's brains, seeing what they like to do, seeing how they think, and how they interpretations on a lot of different things. I like doing stuff like this, hanging out, listening to people. That's why I when I found the conscious community, and I was like, oh, this is some stuff I like to talk about. Like you said, it's mental masturbation, but because most of it is, and I don't mind talking and learning stuff. I definitely love learning, but yeah, for the most part, man, I'm a boring guy. I don't really do too much. Outside guy. I hunt, I fish, and that type of stuff.
That's dope. That's dope, man. Um, so I'm gonna ask you one more question, and then we could, if you want to, we could take some questions from the chat. So, how you feel about that? You want to take a few questions from the chat?
Let's go. Let's go.
All right. So the brother D Prince, he's saying, he wants some questions from the chat, y'all. So put y'all questions in the chat, family. Put y'all questions in the chat that y'all have for the brother, and he'll answer a few of y'all questions. But my last question is, do you really think that us as a people, I'm talking about black people, do you think, and this goes back to the psychology thing, do you think we have a savior complex?
Um, I ain't gonna put that on just black people. I think that's all people. We all trying to figure out, our purpose or whatever. And everybody got their own way of going about that. So I don't think that black people. I don't think it's a complex. I just think it's something that we always dealt with, no matter how far you go back in history. People always try to understand themselves and their lives. So saying that somebody have a savior complex is, uh, I don't think that's really fair. But I feel like we all just trying to find purpose, you know, and understand, our existence. So that's why I used to um, you know, go hard on certain beliefs and stuff like that. And I actually stopped doing it because, you know, who am I to down one person about something they believe when I believe something, you know? So I just say, we all just trying to find our purpose and in life. So I don't think it's a complex or anything. I think that's totally natural.
Got you. I got you. And I asked you that too because I did a show on my channel a while ago. So when I first started live streaming, I did a stream called the Jesus/Savior Complex, where I feel like, you know, us as a people, we're always looking for somebody to come and save us. We always think that there's going to be some outside entity or some person that's coming in dressed up with a cape to come and rescue us. And it seems like every time we we deal with that mindset, it's like we always get screwed. Like, for instance, with the conscious community, me being from New York, I was pretty much around for a lot of these dudes' inceptions. Like I was around when, before Polite got to who he was. I was
Mm-hmm.
around before there was a SETI, before there was a Umar, before we knew who Tariq Nasheed was and all of these guys. And I noticed when those guys got on the House of Consciousness and they blew up, people were taking their information like it was word of their life. Like that's how a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people got screwed over with the whole new covenant thing because they thought that, you know, this brother is coming to save black people. So if we follow him, this is our way out, you know? And that's what I kind of touched on in the video. But I definitely, now that I'm older and I was able to analyze a lot more, what you're saying is actually true because it's just that based on like how the mind works, it's like some people or most people like to have like a psycho dependency for something that's greater than them. And they want to see how they can interact with that. So it's not so much of you looking for a savior, it's just that you looking for something or you looking for something that you can measure yourself up to. Like, like if he can do it, maybe I could do it type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I pretty much, I agree with what you're saying, you know?
Definitely, definitely. Um, yeah, man. Like whatever whatever you feel your purpose is, if it's um, God or whatever it is that you feel like is coming to save you. Whatever you're into, you follow that. You follow that. Because that we do. I People do that. It kind of keeps them sane, sort of say. Nobody, no. If you run around telling people when you die, that's it. There's no coming back. That kind of bothers people a little bit. A lot of people can't. They can't really imagine that. They can't imagine that you just poof in life and then poof you're dead. You know, Nobody can imagine that. So as human beings, we we're blessed with the capability to actually think about stuff like that. You look at a dog. A dog is not worried about if somebody to come and save them. They're worried about surviving here in real time, however it comes. So I kind of understand now when people pray and whatever they do, um, they're just hoping, trying to everybody want to be prosperous. Everybody want to live happy. Everybody want to, hope that, when you die, there's something more than just this, and that's just an attribute of humans, man.
Agreed, agreed. So I see a few questions in the chat. Um, let me see. The Darkness Awakens asks, which people which people inspired you when you were growing up? Or who inspired you when you were growing up?
Um, I didn't really. I guess if he's talking about, me looking at artists or actors and things like that, I didn't growing up in Mississippi. I seen that stuff, and of course, you interested in that type of stuff, but I didn't look at that as people I looked up to. I look up to people that's directly around me, like my mom, or my aunts, or my uncles who's doing good and stuff like that. And I'll say, oh man, I wanna do good too when I grow up. I don't want to be poor, because I also see people around me that's poor because I grew up poor. So I always look through, like, in my neighborhood, if there's a person that if there could have been a black guy. I remember this guy. I never knew him. I didn't know who he was, but he always had, a nice house, a nice car, no drama. I don't. He just living his life like, there's nothing. I looked up to stuff like that. Like, I want to be at peace like him. At least from what I'm seeing, he's at peace. I don't know his personal life, but I looked up to stuff like that. I didn't really see no artist and say, oh, I want to be like this guy, or nothing like that. Even if I enjoyed the music that they made or the movies they made or whatever, I never looked up to it as in, I want to be like that. Not
No
even
doubt.
the Michael Jordans and the Barry Sanders that I grew up watching. I never, like, wanted to actually be those people or be like those people. I actually wanted to be like the guy, the black guy down the street that's doing good for me. you know, Even though now that I look at it, that person was probably just as poor as me because he was in the same neighborhood as me. But he seemed like he was doing fine. He was happy with life, and that's what I looked up to.
Got you, got you. Brother Rob asked, what do you do professionally? Is it your photography? But he asked, what do you do professionally?
Um, well, I wouldn't even call. Uh, I mean, some people say that it's professional, but I'm humble with it. I don't call my photography business professional yet because I don't actually have my business license. That's something I'm working on. But I do want that to be my profession. But actually, professionally, I calibrate. I'm a calibrator, and like I said, I work in the science labs, and I work on the. I guess I'm a technician, if you want to say what profession I do. I'm a electronic technician, and I just calibrate equipment in the science labs and stuff like that. All the equipment they're using to make all these various medicines and doing all this research and development with. I work on those machines, and it's not bad money or anything like that. It's okay, But even though it's okay, I want my photography business to be what I make a living off of because that's something I just enjoy doing.
Got you, got you. The Darkness Awakens asked, how do you feel about our people, you know, working for the government that are still, implementing these US policies? Like, how do you feel about that?
Um, that's a good question right there. Because there always with questions like that, it's gonna always be a difference of opinions. And with my opinion, I look at where we at now. Where we at now, we living in an integrated society. We're integrated. I mean, we speak segregation and all that, but do we really want to segregate? Because if we do segregate, we're still going to have to implement, you know, we're still going to have to use these same policies that we used to, you know, like for example, if if the American government say, okay, we're going to take the state of Texas and give that to all the black people, we can make that as our nation. Well, we're going to have to use the same policies that we're used to run that nation. I mean, we might change a little certain things to our liking, you know, but for the most part, we're going to use some of the same basic policies and more laws to run that nation. And I don't think it's a bad thing. And the reason I say that is because if we're going to sit here and complain about a system, I think we should infiltrate that system. I think we should overpower that system, not as in take a bunch of guns and go shoot up the place, but we should get a strong presence in it. And you can see we starting to do that in the politics. You know, we're starting to get a lot of, you know, brothers and stuff like that, black people to get into the policies, but we need more people. That way we can have a voice in it, you know, not just somebody using us for a vote or something like that. You know, if we're going to complain about the police force is this and that, we should join the police force. We should have a bunch of black brothers and sisters applying to be police so we can actually police the police force. That and then we can actually police our own neighborhoods. If we the police and we're policing our neighborhoods, we're doing it legally now. You know, that's my view on it. I mean, I know a lot of people would say that's assimilation, but I'm not looking at it as assimilation. I'm looking at it as we need a strong presence in that system because we can't run. It's too late to run from the system. I mean, if we wanted to take over the system, we should have did it a long time ago. But by us born into the way it is now, we need to infiltrate that. We need to have our hand in there. Everywhere you see a, a, a high level politic, we should see a high level black politic. I do think that we should get away from the Republican Democratic Party and come up with our own party because our votes. So we should have some kind of black party, you know, in that part of the politics if you're into that, you know, because I feel like everything that we complain about is we trying to get accepted in, and we should just create our own. Like with psychology, they got the American Psychology Association, which they were being biased and racist in a while back with that. So a lot of black psychologists created their own group. You know, the Black Psychology, American Psychology, and I think that we should always do that. You know, if with example with Colin Kaepernick trying to plead himself back into the NFL, black people should create their own NFL because you're gonna watch a black NFL because mostly you're watching black NFL now. So if we create our own thing, you know, I think we're afraid of failure too. So, you know, that's why we don't do that. But I feel like we should, in that aspect, create our own thing if you're going to complain about it. You know, when it comes to the government, it's going to be hard to create your own government within a government because now the government is going to be looking at you as your enemy. And I feel like that's not going to be the right way to go about it. And that we should get a strong presence of black people in these institutions like that. That way we can actually know what's going on and we ain't just conspiring on what's going on. You know, a lot of people say, oh, NASA is doing all this. Well, maybe we should join NASA and see what the fuck is going on. You know what I'm saying? Um, I think we need more people. Uh, that way we can actually know what's going on.
Man,
If we had our own nation right now, how would we run it? Do we got enough scientists? Do we got enough? I know we got enough construction workers, laborers. We definitely got enough laborers, but do we have enough uh, uh, educated people, educated minds to actually run a country in a nation? And that's why we're so skeptical now, because it feel like today, if we had a nation, we'd be arguing over who to be the leader, because when we look into the leaders will get mad because we're looking into them. And I definitely think we need a strong presence in the government. We need our hands in it. You know what I'm saying? That way we ain't just taking we ain't getting the bad end of the stick when it comes to that.
man, great answer, man. Great answer. Because I totally agree. A lot of people, I hear a lot of people on here, on online. They say that we need to get rid of this system, but how the hell we should get rid of a system that pretty much takes care of everyone. And if we was to do that, where will we start in building, our own system? You know, we we can barely, you know, we could barely have a decent conversation without an argument starting between most black people. So I'm pretty sure if we ran politics, it'd be a bunch of arguing and infighting and people setting each other up. We pretty much gotta get things right. And that's why my message is always, we gotta heal before we build. We gotta go within ourselves and change things within ourselves so things could be right, outside of ourselves, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree with what you're saying, man, because what we need to do is we need to get up in these different systems in the government and actually make our presence known. And
Yeah.
and we should have our people backing us instead of our people calling us coons.
Yep. Because
Now,
the first time, like, that's the first thing they're gonna do when you wanna do stuff like that. Like, everybody, and I'm not gonna say that all black people aren't, you know, you know, um, getting in these positions and turning their back on us. But I
right,
think
right.
if you feel like that, then you should be the one to get in there and not turn your back on us and let us know what's going on. We need our presence known. That way we can have a say so in a strong voice when it comes to that, and not just a protesting voice. You know, definitely.
Straight up, straight up. I totally agree, bro. Majestic asks, do you have a religious background? What is your religious inclinations, if any?
Um, well, my background in religion, I grew up in Christianity, but I kind of left that once I was able to read and understand the Bible for my own interpretations. Um, I don't see anything wrong with religion at all. Practice some kind of religion, whether it's science or Christianity or Islam or atheist or whatever it is. That's still a religion. I'm more of a agnostic because I don't want to say there isn't a God or there is not a God. I just feel like whatever it is, I can't know it, because if I could know it, I would know it by now. So no, I don't really mess with religion, but I also don't mess with nobody religion. I let it, because if we was all walking around here, with our own free will, I think it'll be a mess. It'll be a lot of people out of control, and I think that's kind of what religion is for, to give people. It was like the original law, you know, and then when the governments came into play and made law, it was just a different form of it, uh, guiding people, you know, guiding people morals. I think religion is necessary, whatever religion that you follow or practice, good and bad with it. And I think there are people in all different religions that are too extreme with it. You know what I mean? You know, when just because someone don't follow your idea, you shouldn't look at them as the enemy. They're just a difference of opinion. Um, I don't think that, and I see that that's a big problem in the conscious community. That we want to bang on somebody that's religious, or we want to uh, uh, you know unfollow somebody that because their opinion different from yours. I think we can have differences of opinions and still talk and still get through and find a way to uplift everybody. Religion is kind of irrelevant when it comes to us trying to, I guess, liberate ourselves, if you want to say that. Is irrelevant. At the end of the day, what you believe is not um, relevant to the fact that we're at the bottom of the totem pole. We need to like if we were trying to get a nation and have a leader, it'll be hard to choose a leader because half the people want a Christian leader and half the people want Islamic leader, or half the people want atheist leader or whatever. And that's to me that's crazy. We actually we letting stuff like that bother us. Um, I think whatever you believe that, and we shouldn't look at nobody because with me, when I first told my family that I don't follow the Christianity anymore, they thought that I was a devil worshiper or some shit. And it's hard for me to be around them, and when they talk about stuff like that, because they look at me, they kind of outlaw me at that point because they feel like I'm gonna bring them to hell with me. So um when as far as my religion, I don't follow any religion. um I just believe in myself, and try to accomplish things in my own world. you know I'm just here to try to build myself a legend, make myself a legacy for me and my family. And then in my beliefs is just a part of that. I'm not gonna try to uh, change somebody's beliefs because I don't believe in what they believe. Because at the end of the day, it's not relevant to what it's not relevant to our survival, I guess. Even though some people belief may say that it's relevant to our survival, I don't think so. I think uh, you know we can all be together and have different beliefs. I think it's very doable. I just think that we don't want to.
I agree. I agree. And just to piggyback on that, I think that, you know, that it can't happen because we all are not organized and have a common goal. So we use religion and certain other little divisive things to keep us divided, basically. If we all just focused on the fact that we're all, black people and we all have similar struggles and just deal with each other based on that, regardless to whoever you pray to, regardless to your sexual preference, any of those things, I think we'll definitely get a lot more done. So
Yeah, I think
I
yeah,
agree.
yeah, that's definitely like your sexual preference, all that stuff. That's just irrelevant. That's just irrelevant to us as a whole. Moving forward, we let
Mhm.
we stay stagnant. Stuck on those things like that. And I see that when I first came into knowing what the house of consciousness and stuff, all that stuff was. I see they keep saying that we're divided, and I hate when people say that. We're not divided. We're just mad because one person don't agree with the other person's opinion about life. And that's just so, that bothers me, because how can you be mad at this person because he interpreted the world this way and I interpret the world another way, and we're actually letting this make us enemies? So I don't really think that we're divided like that. I think that at the end of the day, we just get mad when someone don't really follow the opinion that we want them to follow. It's like if I follow you, I want you to have the same opinion that I have, and that's irrelevant.
Exactly. Um, Majestic had another really good question because I was gonna ask you this too. Being a military guy, she asked, "Are you a flat earther or you believe that the Earth is round?"
um. All right. So the way I can tackle this question is, um, I'm just gonna answer straight up. I believe the Earth is round, and if you want to take all the science away and all the NASA stuff away and everything, if we look around, it's almost, you perceive it as flat. If I'm on a planet, so when I look up at the moon and the sun and I see that it's round, I feel like I'm on a round planet too, because I look at the moon and the sun as just planet. It's a celestial body. I feel like I'm living on a celestial body. Now, do I know that for sure? I haven't went in space and saw it, so I don't know that for sure. That's just what I perceive, and I think that's where the confusion comes from. People don't understand how massive the planet is that we live on. They feel like we should see the Earth curving, and we should be walking around, I guess, or something like that. But hey, I mean, to each his own, I guess, because whether you believe it's round or flat, there's going to always be an argument against that. Unless you go out in space yourself and see for yourself, you're going to always have your an opinion about it, and you're going to always take someone else's opinion about it. So I don't know for sure, but I believe it's just a belief that the Earth is round to me. Just based on the fact that I see the sun and moon is round. Why wouldn't I be living on something that's round? And that could just be an illusion. The the Earth could be flat and infinite. Who knows? But because I haven't flew anywhere. I've been in a plane before, but when I fly up in the sky and we get up in the clouds, I can't see nothing but clouds as far as I can see. I don't see no curving. I don't see anything like that. But I'm not gonna just throw the round Earth out just because I can't see that it's round. I don't think you would be able to see. If we could step down to the size of a germ or bacteria and we step onto a basketball, I don't think we would think the basketball is flat too, because it'd be so massive to us. But I mean, that's always going to be, unless we go out in space and see for ourselves, that's always going to be an argument that can go either way. Because if you say that NASA is fake and they got fake Photoshop photos, then where did the flat Earth get their photos? Where did they get photos? Did they go out in space and take a picture of the Earth? I don't think so. So I mean, you can't throw one idea out the window and leave the other idea. I'm open to any of it. I think anybody who believe truly that the Earth is flat, then we need to get on. They the ones that need to get on the rocket and go see and let us know. Let us know if it's flat around, because I feel like that's another irrelevant topic. Because whether the Earth is flat, round, square, triangle, is not changing what's going on it. So I really don't see a reason why somebody would try to trick you into believing that something like the Earth is round or flat, because it's kind of irrelevant. At the end of the day, when you come back down to Earth, you're still gonna deal with your problems. We're still gonna be having these conversations, and we're still gonna be trying to move forward.
Exactly. I totally agree. But I had wanted to ask that question too because a lot of military guys, lately been saying that that the earth was flat. So it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting that you believe it's round. I mean, I pretty much agree. I think it's pretty much irrelevant too. And, you know, since I was young, being that I grew up, with some Islamic background, that's a old argument that was argued, you know, years and years ago. So
Yeah, yeah. All
I,
that,
I
all that come from religious versus science. That's all it is. An argument that the guy Copernicus made when he was on his deathbed. And he didn't even come out with it saying that it was round, because he knew that if he say that, he'd get killed. So he said it when he was on his deathbed. Now, how he figured that out, I don't know. I don't know. They do all the scientific measurements and or whatever. I don't know. But I feel like if I personally really, if I'm passionate about knowing whether it's flat or not, I'm gonna have to go out in space myself. I'm gonna have to become an astronaut and go see. And then I would come back and tell people that it's flat. Because as far as I know, the people who go out, the NASA and stuff that go out and work on the satellites and stuff like that, they say the Earth's so big that they still can't see the whole Earth. The only people that said that they confirmed that the Earth was round were the people who actually went to the moon. So I mean, if you believe that, but I think it's kind of irrelevant. And I just go, if we want to go based on what we see, then we could say it's just an argument. We could say, oh, it's flat because I see it flat, and I can say it's round because I see that the Earth and the sun and moon round. If you believe we living on a celestial body.
agree. So you know, I got all the questions in the chat. I pretty much asked you all the questions I wanted to ask you. I definitely gotta say, brother, great interview. I definitely learned a lot more about you, man. It's always the quiet guys that got a lot, that got a lot to offer once you just kind of like, scratch the surface, man. So definitely let the people know in the chat. And if you can, after the interview, shoot me some information like your Instagram and stuff like that, where people could contact you, if they want you to do some work for them.
All right.
So let the people know how they could contact you, and shoot me an email with your stuff so I could put it in the description of the video. So if other people that's watching this and they need some work done from you, you could get some clientele, bro.
For sure, for sure. I'll do that. I'll definitely do that. For sure. And I appreciate that, man, because I always have a lot to say, but I always keep my opinions to myself because they only just my opinions. So, you know,
Nah, man.
I think that's a lot of people, man. It's just all opinionated topics.
Yeah,
I don't think we should get too emotional invested in anything, because when you think about information these days, a lot of people sit up online and they Google stuff all day, and they call it research, or they call that they know because they looked it up. Just like I always told people, before the internet and books and all that, people was getting learning information from people words alone. You was just taking people word for it. They could have been lying then. So when they start writing it in books, you still taking their word for it. They just writing it for you, or they just posting it for you. So, and I think the internet has tainted information a lot. Like, you don't know what's real or fake on there, and people get caught up thinking that just because they looked it up from a quote unquote reliable source, that the information is a fact. That's why, you know, when I hear people start about to give me some information, and the first thing they get out their mouth is, you know, you graduated from here and there, and you got this many degrees. I'm already gonna be skeptical at that point, because, you know, why do you have to tell me how many degrees you got just to tell me what a fact is? A fact don't always be a fact, no matter if you know it's a fact or not. You know, that's just how it is. But whether it's true or false, if it's a fact, it's just a fact. You know. So I just think we have to analyze information and how we receive it. And I think I said this one time before. You know, when you hear information for the first time, analyze it first. Analyze it, or all the information that you've ever been taught, go back and analyze it. You know, and see where it comes from. See, just do a little research and look it up. Like I say, I'm saying look it up, but I don't know how far that'll get you. But when you looking it up and you're doing the research, see who said this and see who said that, and then based on that, you draw your conclusion, because you're only reading somebody else's opinion. So I mean, you whatever that person says, I guess you have to make your own interpretation on it. And I try to use as much logic and reason as possible when I'm taking the information from somebody. You know, because some of this stuff, man, you look it up and it got too many damn sources to try to go through and check them all out. And when it's like that, I say fuck it.
Agreed, man. I totally agree, man. So, like I said, man, this was an awesome interview. You know, people that's watching, they all say they loved it, man. So,
Appreciate it.
like I said, man, put in the chat, you know, your Instagram or any ways people could contact you in case they need some work done from you. You know, I'm always here to promote businesses. I don't just, you know, just want to interview people like I'm being nosy or whatever like that. I just want to share my platform to people so they can introduce themselves, introduce what they do, introduce their businesses, and you know, hopefully I can help shed some light on who you are and what you do. You know,
Oh
so
no,
I appreciate you, bro.
I definitely like what you're doing, man. Because this is like the positive things that I like to be a part of. You know, I like to see, I like to watch people interviews and see where they mind at and how they think. You know, and you know, figure out, you know, why you think like that. You know, I like that, and it takes away, you know, from all the love and hip hop drama in the community. You know, I'm entertained by all that stuff too, but at the same time, I like to come here and enjoy a nice conversation, enjoy and find out, you know, about people that don't get that, you know, that like, you know, a lot of people, you know, like me, I don't have that many subscribers, so a lot of people don't know me. It makes you feel good when people you could get let people know who you are, you know, um, a little bit about you and stuff like that. I like to, I hope to get to hear from everybody. I seen the interview with the Darkness the other day, and I liked that one. So I definitely learned a lot from him, and shout out to him. And shoot, man, I hope I get to learn a little bit more about you.
Oh,
I
definitely,
had to go through and
definitely.
watch the rest of your video because, you know, I just got connected with you for about a month, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was thinking about letting somebody interview me. So that'll definitely be cool, man. But you know, I don't want to hold you too much longer, man. Like I said, I appreciate you. Put your information in the chat for the people that can highlight you, you know, and they can support you. And like I said, just shoot me an email so I could throw it in the description so other people could support you, hit you up, man. And you know, we could support a black business, you know, because that's always a good thing. Like I said, can't just philosophize. We got to get to the practical part too, you know. So we could support
Right.
each other in thought and in spirit and in theory, but we gotta financially support each other too, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I appreciate you, bro. You wanna say anything on the closeout before I close out?
No, man, everybody just be safe during these holidays. If you're traveling, travel safe. You know, everybody just enjoy themselves, man. I'm surprised nobody asked me about do I celebrate holidays and stuff like that. Well, I guess I'll leave on a quick note. Well, I do. I celebrate Christmas, but I don't think about it. I know the history and where it come from and stuff like that, but I don't think about it like that because when you think about it like that, you're celebrating it like that. So, for me, Christmas time is about the kids and giving them something because they've been working hard all year learning, and you're giving them something to make them feel happy, man. It's all about giving. And even if you ain't giving to a kid, just give to somebody, and don't expect nothing in return. Just that's what it's all about for me. When I say Merry Christmas, that's what I'm saying. Enjoy yourself, live life, and keep moving forward. Everybody be safe.
No doubt, man. So that's tonight's show, y'all. Shout out to my brother DerrickPrints, photography and video. Make sure y'all go subscribe right now. Marbis page, subscribe to the brother. Very intellectual brother, very smart brother. And he has a lot to offer, man. He has a whole lot to offer. Make sure y'all go and subscribe to this brother. If you're still in the chat, hit the like button. Subscribe to me, SHEEPSTAYSLEEPTV. Hit the bell for all notifications to stay in tune. I'm your host, DS1 Ross. Make sure y'all enjoy y'all holidays. Y'all stay safe. Enjoy. Peace to the family. I'm out, y'all.
Peace.